Welcome to the Open Metaverse podcast. I'm your host, Mehdi Farooq. Today we have a special guest with us, Clement, co founder of Imaginary Ones. Imaginary Ones is a Web3 global IP and entertainment company that is making waves in the Web3 space, specifically targeting Gen Z and family.
Right.
Clement, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, Mehdi. It's an honor.
Clement, before we kick things off, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your Web3 journey?
Hi everybody. I'm Clement, the co-founder of Imaginary Ones. I'm a serial entrepreneur for more than 10 years with two successful businesses. And I am a self-taught, by education, I am a computer scientist, but I'm a self-taught animator and have always found a huge interest in, designing beautiful websites, animations, design theories and stuff. So like my whole entire Web3 journey has been very interesting so far, and it's been quite a journey of like 2-3 years, and building Imaginary Ones is something that is something that is a huge legacy to me, and we want to carry it to greater heights every single day.
So you have
Yeah.
been building Imaginary Ones throughout the bear market.
Yep. So Imaginary One started in 2022, so that was like I think close to the top of the bull cycle, and then the bear happened, right? So it's been a while. Like the whole entire bear, Imaginary Ones has been building nonstop. Like we shipped out a few games in the bear market, and of course we even onboarded like brands such as Hugo Boss with collaboration with Imaginary Ones. So
We'll come to that in a
yes.
bit. Clement. We'll come to that. Yeah. So I just want to learn, like,
Mhm.
what was the inspiration behind Imaginary Ones, and why do you think you and David, your other
Mhm.
co-founder, were the right people to tackle this?
Yeah, I mean, for us, when we came into the space, like before Imaginary Ones, right? We are both very renowned animators that has been doing huge commercials like Apple, Nike, Samsung, F1, etc. back then, and like we always wanted to tell our very own story, and Imaginary Ones was like something that we've always wanted to build for the last 10 years. So I think if you look at the whole entire space, why Imaginary Ones will sort of like stand out is because like the whole space is very male driven in terms of audiences, like the crypto space, the NFT space. So when we created Imaginary Ones, we wanted to tell a story that can resonate to like male, female, young adults, and through the IP and the stories that we built, they will be more inclined to be exposed to the whole entire blockchain technology, and that has always been like the mass adoption angle of Imaginary Ones. So for us, we're here to tell stories. We're here to build an entertainment company for Imaginary Ones that can, build a strong legacy across like generations. That has always been a dream for us.
So TLDR is Clement and David saw an opportunity in Web3 where there is a global entertainment company missing, which is not targeting Gen Z and Gen Z young adults and family brands. And because of that reason, you decided that let's tackle the space. So Clement, can you just break down for me how you're tackling this? Maybe it's a good segue in terms of how Imaginary One, like breakdown of Imaginary One into different segments within entertainment that you are tackling. Let's start with the ecosystem of games.
Yep. So I think at the top level of entertainment company, we are actually focusing a lot on the game side, the content side, and the merchandise. So for games, we've recently announced our collaboration, our partnership with Immutable X and of course Portal to bring like our games to the mainstream audiences. And what we're trying to do here is like because there's multiple ways to build an IP, and we feel that like through games could be a huge way to start to scale the IP in multiple aspects of things. So for us, we're gonna start building multiple aspects of like a suite of games that are simple to play and simple to onboard users, and that has been seen through our games such as Bubble Rangers or Bubble Rider, and the games that we've built are easy. You don't need much of a blockchain knowledge to be able to play that, and that has always been our angle. Hopefully, like people, we can onboard the masses with like as long as you just download the game or just connect your wallet or just connect your Discord back then, you'll be able to start playing immediately. So for us, we'll carry on building a suite of games, no matter how we are gonna scale it.
So
But
at the moment,
yeah.
like you mentioned, two games, Bubble Ranger being one of them.
Yep.
What is the roadmap in terms of you like how you guys are thinking about the roadmap in terms of the games and the suite of games you're building.
Right.
What are some of the immediate ones that you think in next couple of years that you guys will deliver, or that will be basically will become the brand of Imaginary Wars? Like few games in your pipeline at the moment.
Yeah, I think like we are definitely so what we do here is like, imagine Bubble Rangers and Bubble Rider. They had different purposes, right? One was like Bubble Rider was like, connecting with OKX wallet and stuff. Bubble Rangers is more like a mobile game. But I think our grand goal itself is like we want to build an open world where multiple games and custom maps can be built on top of it, and that's what we call the imaginary world. And it has to be scalable in multiple forms. So I think in the short run, after like our tokens and our TGA and stuff, like we are gonna focus a lot into building the open world concept, which is called Imaginary World.
Imaginary World.
Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Imaginary World will be like as a UGC, social fun UGC, kind of akin to Web3 Roblox, which is Gen Z and family friendly. Is that correct?
That's correct. So I think the best way for us is like Imaginary ones will definitely build the initial few aspects of games, but how can we empower our community and our users to be able to build games and reward them in different ways? I feel like that is always like we can be able to push games as a company on our own,
Yes.
but the real power comes when UGC happens.
Yes.
And that's where a real scalable network effect happens for the whole entire imaginary world. So I think what I think our community or users can expect is like in the initial phase, what we do at Imaginary Ones is to be able to tell the story and show what is possible within this imaginary world first, and then people are able to build on top of it. That will be where the scalable effect happens.
So my understanding from this conversation is that two ways you are doing bottom-up IP creation, which we'll touch again, is one through the open world game, which will have elements of UGC. People can take that IP, build their own experiences, like build their own fun stuff there. And the other part is that let's say you start with a couple of games, but then give community that empowerment to like maybe even perhaps build more games on your behalf using the IP. Is that the correct summary? Like bottom-up IP creation from two angles. One is UGC and second is like creation of other games where community gets empowered. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yep. Bottom-up IP building is definitely the key thing that we are trying to focus on, giving back, to the community the power to be able to own some sort of digital assets or like financial freedom in some ways through the building of our games. So like Imaginary Ones has always been a focus of like community first, right? And that is something that we will carry on focusing in terms of the way we scale our games, because like bottom up IP building is like where how we look at it is like at the bottom is where we empower our community together with us to build a brand together.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll double tab on that in the later segment. Maybe perhaps we can touch on the content.
Sure.
So in terms of the breakdown of your business, you mentioned ecosystem of games, content, merchandising, and partnership.
Yep.
So maybe let's double down on content.
Yes.
How is Imaginary One also a content play?
Yep. So Imaginary, we've been building for 2 years, and of course, like after our mint in April last 2022, we've started building one of our YouTube channel called Imaginary Junior, and there's like kids songs such as ABC or McDonald's, Wheels on the Bus, etc., with Imaginary One's character dancing in it. So I think that is for us is a long-term IP play that we hope like we can start educating the younger generations of to be exposed to at least a crypto or Web3 related brand, and that is one way of us building content. And of course, like recently with our onboarding of two huge advisors, one is the ex-VP of Netflix and the other one is the ex-MD of HBO Max, right? We're starting to we're actually starting with the script writing of our short films and stuff like that. So there's going to be multiple aspects of how we're going to scale the content, but of course like Imaginary One's universe has so much potential, right? And the amount of stories that can be told with this IP is like endless.
And again, we'll touch this in a bit, but would you reckon there will be some elements of bottom-up IP creation here as well, even in terms of content? So let's say you produce the content, or maybe even in the future, perhaps empowering the community to do the content and do kind of like a universal push in every nook and corner of the world.
Yep, of course. So like if you look at us, Imaginary Ones will always be the Kickstarter of the brand in multiple pillars, and the contents that we build right now are based on some of the Imagine One's characters. But if you hold the NFTs itself, there's certain aspect of like how much IP rights you have for the characters, right? So assuming you have an ice cream store or coffee store, right? You can use the Imagine One's characters as one of your branding factor of like getting the mass adoption of, or just like how people perceive your shop or your brand. But what we do at Imagine Ones is we empower that brand building for you. And we build the content so that more people can be exposed to and knows about Imagine Ones. So when you own the NFT, it empowers you to be able to start your business in a faster way, where people know that, okay, wow, this brand, I've seen this brand before somewhere, and they'll be more inclined to. I'll say like, it's more like a accelerator when it comes to
Yes.
yeah.
So kind of like a joint effort, like you
Yes.
guys making content from top down, but bottom up. Let's say if I own a green bubble like green NFT and
Yes.
and I like the color, maybe I can produce some content. Maybe that content becomes a platform I can leverage it, maybe like start my own coffee shop, start my own sunglasses brand, whatever. So that NFT I own is basically a platform, and I have the empowerment to basically do whatever I want with that. And you guys also doing the similar effort from a bottom up perspective, but more holistic with Imaginary One's brand.
Exactly. So I think the key thing about Imagine Ones is that IP has always been like, if spherical bubbles and everything, and that's what we are definitely pushing in terms of the IP. So when you hold, like, assuming the green character that you're saying, and it has that sort of like the embodiment of a character, people immediately recognize it. So when it comes to the bottom up angle of how we build the IP, is Imagine Ones carry on pushing the whole entire community together with the things that we built. Yeah.
Yeah, this reminds me of Nouns DAO, but the only difference is you guys are allowing the community to do this, but also kind of working as full-time founders and trying to push this. So yeah, that's interesting, and I kind of like it.
Thank you.
Let's double click on merchandising. There's so much to cover here. How would merchandising work, and how is that also part of the plan with Imagine Ones?
Yep. So I mean, so there's multiple, there's so much to cover, right? So Imagine as merchandise, it comes with the plushies, and of course like our partnership with Hugo.
What is plushies?
So we got these plushies that we are actually producing, and that we are, I think on Twitter you'll be able to, you probably have seen like some of the chicken plushies and everything. So these characters that we built are an embodiment of Imagine Ones, or the characters of Bubble Rangers, which is our game. And by owning this plushie, we are trying to connect like the digital world. So maybe there's some sort of like QR code where you can scan, and it connects like to the Bubble Rangers game where you own a digital skin. So that is just one aspect of like the plushies that we're building. But if you look at like the fashion side of like Hugo Boss per se, we recently launched our belt bag with Hugo Boss, and if you purchase the belt bag, there is some sort of characters that you can actually scan through the bag, and you get some digital assets in our Bubble Rangers game. So in terms of the merchandise side, we are trying to revolutionize in the way of like how people perceive a product physically, and can it be connected to the Web3 world, or to like the digital game side of things that we are building. Yeah.
So you mentioned plushies, and I kind of interrupted when you were saying the big one, the Hugo Boss.
Yes.
What are you guys doing there?
Hugo Boss has been like a great partner, right? Like we've been partnering for close to 2 years, and it's a long-term one. And previously when we launched initially in September 2022, there was like a huge surge of like we launched our very first t-shirts, and the amount of people that rushed in to buy the clothes, we sold out in less than 5 minutes, and there was a huge surge of people that the e-com site got really laggy for a bit, because like everybody was rushing it to buy it. So at least for us, what we're trying to achieve with Hugo is like they want to come into the Web3 space, and how can we do things a little bit differently for the space. Instead of just like selling products, can we connect, like I mentioned, digital aspects to the product? So we kind of revolutionized the whole entire fashion world in some ways. So they've been great partners, and like we are so open to like experimenting so many different things. And like along the way, we have a NFT collection. We have launched like 2 or 3 merchandisers already, and another one's coming up soon. So yeah, very very happy to be in this place here.
Fingers crossed for the new one. So my understanding is, my takeaway is, typically Web3 founders want the Web2 brands to kind of help them sell the NFTs. But in this case, you guys helped Hugo Boss do a sellout of their merchandise in partnership with you guys?
Actually, I will look at it more like I don't see it as any angle of like, okay, I'm helping you to sell your merchandise or selling the NFTs, because like I feel like when we partner with a brand, it has to feel very collaborative, right? And the reason why we work with Hugo Boss is because we both have a strong synergy in terms of what we believe to do good in this space, at least for the Web3 world or the Web2 world. So when we launched a collection in our very first collection, which is Embrace Your Emotion, that focuses a lot on the Gen Z's mental health issues that we are facing at this current phase. So, and that explains like why the characters for Imaginary Ones, they were wearing the Hugo shirts, and of course they had sad face, angry face, etc. So I feel like when we come into the space with like a huge brand like Hugo Boss, we have to tell the same message, and we have to have the strong synergy of wanting to do something great for the society. So I look at it like, more than just a collaboration, right?
That's very good. That's a very good way of looking at it. And I think it kind of also, it's a real Web3 ethos as well, like shared network effects.
Exactly.
Just not playing that zero-sum game, playing that collaborative shared network effect game where you have your partnerships and you cherish each other. So I really liked your answer here. I really liked it.
Thank you.
Let's touch on other partnerships. Like apart from Hugo Boss, what else is there out there for Imagine Ones?
Just a few days ago, we just like signed with Samsung, and we announced that. I think there are more brands that are coming to Imaginary Ones because of like the huge success that we had with Hugo Boss for sure, and brands start to realize that Imaginary Ones is a very friendly brand to work with, right? And there are a lot of like strong ethos of our community or our culture that we are building for the space to make it better across time. So Samsung is something that we've been working on for a long time, and we're pushing in terms of like content, merchandise, and gaming stuff with them in the long run. Yeah.
What about apart from Samsung? Who else? Come on, you can share the alpha here. I know whilst we were speaking, there are a few others, but maybe you don't want to disclose them. Yeah. Are there any other partnerships?
I mean, if we are referring to the Web3 side, we actually had something that we start teasing for OKX. And so OKX itself is something that we are launching probably soon with a campaign with them. And it's going to be... an alpha will be like, it's related to one of our games previously we launched. And because of the huge success of that game, right now we are going to have a partnership with them to, start to scale in terms of a airdrop farming campaign together. Yep.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite car companies. Yes. Yeah, let's get more now into the Web3 side where all the excitement is. Mm-hmm. You guys recently partnered up with Portal. Mm-hmm. That is kind of putting my head into you guys might be doing some sort of social farming. Tell us, like, do you guys have any plans to do that? Like engage your Web3 community as well as the crypto Twitter community in an interesting way?
Yeah, I mean, our partnership with Portal is definitely trying to bring the mainstream of audiences, like be it Web3 or Web2, to have more exposure to our brand. We ourselves, like Imaginary Ones, since our token is going to launch soon, there will definitely, to answer is to a question, is there will be social farming for sure.
There will be a token? We can discuss that a bit now. I think you spilled the beans here. Yes. There will be a token.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be multiple aspects of things. Like, if you play our games, Bubble Rangers or the OKX collaboration or, social farming, there's going to be multiple ways where we try to gamify the whole entire experience because, like, Imaginary Ones has always been known for a brand that does things a little bit differently. And just to put it into context, when we launched our Imaginary rights back then, that's where we created Bubble Rider, and we connected with all these various like Web3 brands, right? And we got like 6 million plays in 3 weeks. That was crazy. So this is something that has always been known in the Web3 space of us doing something very different. So when we're about to launch our token, that's where I think it's gonna get really, really interesting in terms of the things that we're gonna do in terms of the social farming or the games that we're gonna launch. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I want to again. I'm gonna still keep bothering you. So let's come back to social farming. Mm-hmm. So what Portal did was you amplify the message of Portal. You get some sort of points, yep. And those points will translate to some sort of rewards within the ecosystem.
Yes.
So the social farming specifically, you guys have in mind, or will be launching, will it have a similar mechanism? How are you guys thinking about that and executing that?
Yep. So for us, definitely like we will have some sort of social points, and of course playing the games we call it the bubble points, where so there's multiple aspects like playing the game, doing Twitter task, like liking, retweet, or joining our Twitter space, and of course there's gonna be another aspect of like imaginary paths where we start to cross pollinate with different communities, and it's just good like it's similar. I would say like Porter did something really amazing with his space, right? With the social points, everybody was went crazy about that. But what we're trying to achieve here is a little bit different with multiple aspects of things. Because we already have a game, we might as well start leveraging on that. Can we start doing the social farming, and of course with the imaginary pass that we're about to launch soon.
So one thing Portal did really well
Mhm.
was they integrated and announced multiple Web3 partnerships and worked with multiple communities.
Yep.
How is your Web3 partnership looking like at the moment?
Yeah, we do have multiple brands, like of course Animoca brands, Portal, Immutable X, Mochaverse, and of course there's a huge like amount of collaborations that's gonna happen in the pipeline. Yep. So yeah, it's gonna. I mean, all of it's gonna be revealed really soon.
Portal
Yes.
comes up again and again. So the way Portal wanted to kind of do things is unite all the gaming through one universal gaming token.
Right.
Do you guys also have a plan to have a universal NFT token?
I think right now, the Bubbles token will definitely be focused on building the Bubbles, the imaginary world ecosystem first.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop us from like cross pollinating with other brands out there. So I think once the tokens itself or our ecosystem is strong enough, like I mentioned, imaginary world, we can start to see like onboarding of various brands of other NFT projects into our space and collaborating with them in different forms of like the maps that we build or the NFTs that we release. So yep.
When airdrop?
When airdrop, I think it starts with the social farming and then the airdrop will happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I won't ask you more. I won't ask you more. So we know there is a token coming, and I won't bother you about the airdrop.
Yep.
What will be your Web3 business model?
Mm-hmm.
How will the token accrue value and have multiple utilities within your ecosystem?
Yeah. So for the token itself, like for imaginary ones, there's so many things that's happening. We've got the merchandise, we've got the gaming, we've got the film side of things. So I think, for the token utility itself, is definitely going to help empower the whole entire imaginary world, right? Can we gamify our games that we already have? Like, can there be competitions on top of it? And of course, like through the revenue, can we do a buy? We potentially will have a buyback for the tokens itself. And through this whole entire, the token itself has always been like one main product, right? That unites all the different pillars of imaginary ones. And with this token itself, it becomes a stronger reward system for communities. And that's where we actually mentioned about like, building from a bottom-up approach for the IP, how users can build content for imaginary ones and be rewarded with the tokens, or even building like games on top of the imaginary world and be rewarded through the tokens. So I think all in all itself, like, we want to build I'll say imaginary universe in some ways where we can give back value back to our community when they build the IP together with us versus like, for a brand that is already established in the Web2 world, it's more like an inverse pyramid, but we're trying to do a pyramid that is stronger in the community at the bottom and slowly building all the way to the top.
So Clement, it seems like you guys will be using your token to kind of unite the whole ecosystem and not only facilitate the network effects, but capture network effect of your whole ecosystem through token. And my sense is, you already mentioned bottom-up IP creation a few times. This is the strategy you'll use to kind of compete with some of the big Web2 players like Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me how do you kind of, like maybe even more details about bottom-up IP creation? How are you going to compete with these Web2 players, perhaps in more detail?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that comes in the beauty of what Web3 stands for. And, it comes with, like, Web3 itself is decentralized and it's community driven. So for us, like, through the Bubbles token that we are launching, there's going to be an ecosystem fund, right? And that itself is where we start incentivizing holders or users to be able to build either content or like games on top of our entire ecosystem. So like I mentioned just now, like, if you hold the Imagine One's NFT and you have a coffee shop, you'll be able to have that IP to be able to scale up your brand in some ways. And of course, like, we may also incentivize in terms of like building a DAO, where if you want to set up maybe a merchandise, you want to sell a certain merchandise for your characters, or you want to start a storybook for your kids, for example. uh, if that DAO is actually being utilized in some strong ways, and of course there's a voting system, and with bubbles itself, that can be the key commodity where people can make decisions as a whole, and